Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Phoenix and this is the Consumer's Guide to Video Games. Hollowbody, 2024, Nathan Hamley and Headwear Games. Hollowbody is a third-person survival horror game where the player takes control of a woman named Micah. When Micah's friend Sasha goes missing during an expedition into a ruined England, Micah seeks help from her friend Tax. Tax agrees to get her into the ruins of England, and with dangers looming in every corner of this wasteland, Micah must try to survive and find Sasha at all costs. Average England Vacation Simulator was a great success. Seriously though, Hollowbody is a solid little survival horror game. I think when judging this game, we have to keep in mind how it was made. This game was essentially made by one man, that being Nathan Hamley. Outside of some marketing help and QA assistance, Hamley programmed, wrote, designed, and scored this game by himself. Funding this game through Kickstarter and using the Unity engine, it is honestly quite impressive what Hamley was capable of doing with this game. While Unity has never been a particularly nice-looking engine, and it is certainly dated at this point, Hamley manages to build a world that has a very distinct look to it. When we get a glimpse into the world of this new future city that everyone lives in, we are greeted to a very nicely lit, sleek-looking metropolis. The rendering of the buildings was really slick for Unity, and it showed tons of personality. Once the game proper begins, we are thrust into a ruined city covered in veiny black goop, a once bustling place reduced to rubble and constantly covered in rain and darkness. Basically, it's London on a nice day. These environments once again show tons of personality, even when using such a basic engine, and it goes to show that having an art style will greatly increase your game's shelf life. The character and monster models are pretty decent considering what we're working with, but it all depends on how it's presented. At its best, these models move around smoothly and look fairly smooth, with the lighting helping to obscure any imperfections. The monsters in particular, while not varied in design much, they're all just stringy piles of goo. They look really sleek in terms of textures. The human characters though? It's Unity. These character models are pretty fucking dated, and when the lighting wasn't obscuring this fact, the stiff movements of these models was incredibly off-putting. Even in cutscenes, these character models aren't dynamic and realistic in terms of how they move and speak, and it's just kinda distracting. Even when we consider this is all made by one dude, I really can't excuse jank when I see it. The music composed by Hamley is just sorta like ambient noise, very synthy, very piano-based. It provides a very nice atmosphere when exploring the ruins of this city. The end piece, like during the credits, was a nice bit of trip-hop sort of stuff, very reminiscent of Silent Hill in that regard. The audio design of this game, though, is pretty noteworthy. The atmosphere of the falling rain as you explore, the shrieking noises that these monsters make, the crackling of your radio. The game does a fantastic job of using audio to envelop you in this world, and I think headphones would be a recommended way to experience the game. Writing-wise, I think Nate wrote a cool little story. In particular, I think the world he builds is quite ripe for discussion and analysis. When you intercept what are essentially radio transmissions from the past, the audience is informed of just how dire the situation was in England before the government decided to glass the country in favor of their new corpo-funded utopia. Starving people, crumbling infrastructure, police given too much power, all while this biohazard is ravaging the city. Again, an average day in London. Traversing the wreckage is Micah, voiced by Kristen Ray, who turns in an amicable performance. Fighting off the horrors and learning just how bad things got in England, she manages to finally find Sasha, but it comes at a price. While it wasn't as bad as, all in the head, we are still treated to the monster duptia sort of ending. She gets assimilated into the goop and gets her buddy Tax to come with. Teasing a sequel involving a giant kaiju goop monster, I think the horror story is less interesting than the world that the story inhabits. But that's just me though. But what about the game? Well, looking at the gameplay, it's more or less just Silent Hill. Run around, do some admittedly easy puzzles, hit some enemies from time to time if need be, that sort of shit. There's only one boss at the end, and that boss has you running around triggering C4, which was a nice change of pace. In terms of its fixed camera and incredibly rudimentary combat, it is very much an ode to the era of horror that Silent Hill 2 and the games it inspired belong to. Hell, even down to the manual save menu being doused in the color red, and the first level being in an apartment complex, we can tell Hamley loves him some Silent Hill. The game is definitely rewarding in that there are plenty of things to do within these levels, but it may also disappoint because this game is pretty short. If we stick to the main story and don't go off exploring much, you'll be done with it in a few hours. However, with higher difficulties and tons of secrets to find, it will give you a reason to return. So yeah, I think it's both sad and impressive that one man made a better Silent Hill game than Konami has in like 20 years. Familiar, yet satisfying gameplay is backed up by solid art design, decent audio, and a pretty good script. Hollowbody's throwback to the PS2 era is entertaining, if a little short, and it is all the more impressive that Hamley did it on his own. With a team and some more money behind him, I think Hamley has a stone cold banger just waiting to be unleashed on the world. If Silent Hill vibes are what you are looking for, Hollowbody is definitely a game that you should prioritize on your list. And I am feeling a 7 out of 10 on this one. It's a pretty decent game. Catch you later, guys.